Okay, so I did that one shaft, but I was working all the way forward on the knee. So I'm gonna put the head back and re-pick up the vices, and so we'll go over that real quick. So you loosen up these two gibs. Then this particular model has a handle. Some just have another 3/4 nut. Okay, so that should be considerably better. Actually, I'll come back a little more. We're going to do some heavy cutting anyways. Then you just tighten these back up. Do that one from the front. This wrench has been pretty handy. It was a Craftsman 3/4 at one end and 7/8 at the other, which is ideal for a lot of the stuff on the mill. And then I just drilled and tapped it for a hammer face for the drawbar. So you just do the drawbar and then give it a whack. Give it a pump of oil since we're going to be working the table pretty good. This machine has a one-shot oiler. Get this shaft out of the way. It'll move you, hopefully so I don't block it so much. Put the indicall on with the indicator. Anytime you move the head, you'll need to confirm it's still square to the vise. If we did any other moves, we would want to make sure it was square to the table. I'll skip that step. When I do this, I usually start in the middle and do half of the vise until I get it close and I full sweep the vise. Like I mentioned in my opening video of the whole shop. This mill is older, but it's worn pretty evenly. Everything cranks good, everything's tight. I did take up some slack in the gibs a while back, and the as well as the nut. And another testament of how good this machine is, we move that head back a couple inches, vise is still dead on. Okay, so now I'm done with that. One thing that came up when I did the first shaft is that with the rose indexer, I had to have it in between the vices the whole time. I have this vise all the way out on the very edge. Now I could have moved it in and then had the rose indexer here with the working the square here, and that would make it a little easier when I did the flip. But I had to shift the shaft, tighten the rose indexer, square it once again, and kind of move it before I did the flip of the shaft. If that shaft was shorter, I could have gotten away with moving this over, but it's already marginal. I want to just tip out every time I need to loosen up the shaft, clear out the chips. So this is just safer to handle. And I didn't want to get into making a support or bring the pallet stacker over here. It's a minor inconvenience. Okay. So bring that other shaft over. This cold rolled steel is pretty good. It doesn't have any burrs to fight with or imperfections on the surface that really affect any of this. As far as work holding or obstructing the setup. Okay, this cutter has been great. It's a 6 flute rougher, but on a job like this, the rougher works fine. The finish is good enough, and it blows through the material pretty nicely. So I was taking 100 thou passes on the conventional cut and 250 on the climb cut at full depth, which made work a little easier. We're going to kiss the face on this. The material is really close to final dimension. There is some tolerance available for that. On that first shaft, I started to beat myself up. The flats were 20 thousandths off of the dimension I wanted because I pulled the cutter came out a little bit. I ended up tightening it up. I'm directed to collet. I didn't have a 3/4 end mill holder. I do now, but I'm not going to switch it because after I tightened it up some more, it worked pretty good. You do have to watch out for that because you can damage the collets. So this cutter has just enough depth of cut to cover the whole face. Let's get that phase converter fired up. And with the extra power of this 3 horsepower head and that cutter, it likes some RPM. It'll do fine around 700.